It's lovely to have everybody here with us for what promises to be an inspiring and thought-provoking webinar. Before we begin, though, we'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the significance of this month in South Africa. Each year in August, we celebrate Women's Month, honoring the more than 20,000 courageous women who, on the 9th of August in 1956, marched to the Union buildings in Pretoria to protest against the extension of the pass laws and the Urban Areas Act, which severely restricted the movement and freedoms of Black South Africans, especially women. And this year marks the 69th anniversary of that historic march, a powerful reminder of women's collective strength and enduring struggle for justice and equality. The CHIME project, which is the community health intervention through musical engagement, focuses on culturally embedded musical practices and their role in supporting perinatal mental health, both in the global south and in the United Kingdom. The CHIME project originated in the Gambia about 7 or more years ago and involved group-based participatory music making delivered by local women's groups termed Kanyeleng within community settings. The CHIME team co-developed and evaluated a 6-week intervention led by the Kanyeleng groups and found that it significantly reduced symptoms of depression and anxiety for those who received the intervention. These promising findings then laid the foundations for a new large randomized controlled trial in the Gambia, which the CHIME team are currently implementing to rigorously test the effectiveness, cost-effectiveness, and proposed mechanisms of action of the CHIME intervention there. The new trial is part of a broader 4-year research program, which began about a year ago and was made possible with funding from the UK's National Institute for Health and Care Research, the NIHR. This new project is co-led by Professor Lawrence Stewart from the University of Roehampton and Professor Sarah Skeen from Stellenbosch University, and is backed by a large international team of academic and non-academic partners from the Gambia, South Africa, Lesotho, the UK, and Australia, who will adapt the intervention beyond the Gambia to South Africa, where a feasibility trial will be conducted, and to Lesotho, where formative work will take place. But today, we will be presenting some formative research and development work led by the Perinatal Mental Health Project, of which I am a part, in collaboration with One-to-One Africa. That was conducted in about 2021 and 2022 to establish the feasibility of CHIME in South Africa. For this, we worked with community health workers known as mentor mothers at One-to-One Africa to develop a series of songs that promote maternal mental well-being. We aim to share with you the history of how CHIME developed at One-to-One and how it is currently being implemented. And for that, we have the experts who are part of the process on the ground, speaking about this history and about this current experience. But I'd like to go straight into our first session today, which is where One-to-One Africa team members, Emma Chademana and Nolubabalo Tshemese, will speak about what One-to-One Africa is. Emma is the program director at One-to-One Africa. She's based at the head office in Cape Town and is responsible for program design, strategy development, and overall program oversight. She's been with One-to-One Africa since 2018. Her colleague, Nolubabalo Tshemese, is the Mentor Mother Program Coordinator at One-to-One Africa, and she supports and oversees the organization's maternal and child health program. She began her journey with One-to-One Africa in 2016 as a mentor mother, later becoming a supervisor before taking up her current role as program coordinator. Over to the two of you. Please tell us a little bit about One-to-One and the context you work in this wonderful organization.
Great. Thank you, Simone. And good morning, everyone. I'm going to quickly share my slides. Please let me know as soon as you can see them.
Great. Perfect.
Great, thank you. I'm just going to give a very brief overview of who we are as One-to-One Africa. So essentially, One-to-One Africa is a community health organization that provides healthcare services in rural Eastern Cape, last mile communities. And we have 6 main programs that we are implementing in the Eastern Cape. And our first program being the Maternal and Child Health Program, where we have 30 mentor mothers who are providing maternal and child health care services to over 6,000 women and children across 38 villages. And then we also have our second program, which is the Early Childhood Development Program, where we have 6 ECD mentor mothers who provide early stimulation and parenting support for parents and caregivers in our communities. Then thirdly, we're working with adolescents that are living with chronic conditions. We're currently supporting 945 adolescents, providing psychosocial support through various activities such as support groups and other activities. Then we are also engaging men, where these are male partners of our maternal and child health program and our ECD program. We are also engaging them on both maternal and child health, ECD, and as men to be responsive partners and responsive caregivers and parents, and to also tackle harmful masculinities such as gender-based violence. So we have 10 champions of change. These are mentor brothers who are engaging over 2,000 men across our villages. Then a cross-cutting program that supports all our 4 programs is our mobile clinic that provides the clinical services that ranges from maternal and child health to all acute conditions, everything primary health care across our villages. And this is also in partnership with the Eastern Cape Department of Health. Then our sixth and last program, we have a partnership again with the Department of Health, where we are training and capacitating healthcare workers within the Department of Health on maternal and child health care services. So these are our programs in a very quick nutshell. And this is where we are in the Eastern Cape, as I have initially indicated. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Emma. And I think your screen backdrop also gives people on the call a sense of the kind of topography where you work in the Eastern Cape. Nolubabalo, can you perhaps chat with us a little bit about the role of singing and music making in the communities you serve and among the mentor mothers, and what was this like before CHIME started in your setting?
Okay, hello everyone. I'm Nolubabalo, Mother Coordinator. Before starting with me, I was used singing in the church. I was singing in the school, in the parade in the morning before getting the classrooms, singing funerals, and also when I'm doing laundry, maybe I'm cleaning the house, I love to sing because the music's the heal. So before Chime, we used to sing with mentor mothers in the monthly meeting, sing loudly and dancing. So if we're talking about child, we sing about the child. If we're talking about TB, we sing the song about TB. We sing about after Chime came, we are so happy because the chimes composed our song, and we are so happy, and you are
Thank you, Nolubabalo. Can you, I think we're struggling a little bit with the connection going in and out. Um,
Structured and the mothers that are willing to the
Nolu?
community.
Nolu, if you could, if you're able.
Hello.
Hi, we were just
Hi.
struggling with connection. If you could just repeat the last sort of half minute of what you were saying.
Okay.
Sorry.
After Chime meets with us, mental mother succeed more and happy because Chime adds something that we used to do because we love to sing. So Chime compose the songs for us, and we create the song, then Chime composed. So and also we sing for our clients, and our clients now they are willing to talk the problems that they have. So yeah.
Thank you. Can you tell us a little bit more in the community where you work? How do people use how do people usually use singing and music making as a form of connecting together? In what settings do they use music making in general before Chime came to Mankosi and One to One?
Sorry, can you repeat, Simon?
So, before Chime came to Mankosi, the people in the community, how do they use music, and how do they, in their daily lives, how do they work with music, to communicate to each other? What is the typical way culturally in your environment where music is used, for most people?
We used to sing in the church, in the community. Even when we meet the chief, the meeting, we started to sing before we praying. So we sing, yeah.
I remember thank you. I remember when I came to visit, I learned from a lot of the mentor mothers and people who lived there that sometimes singing was used as a way of communicating
Yes.
things that were quite difficult and awkward. If you wanted to say something to somebody that might start a conflict or might be part of an uncomfortable situation, that singing about it would make it easier to communicate and resolve those issues. Can you talk about that?
Okay.
Emma, I'm not too sure if you want to jump in on that.
Yes, let me jump in on that.
I can't hear you clearly, the side.
Uh,
I think it's network there in the rural Eastern
Hmm.
Cape. So yeah, the network can be bad. I can jump in, Nolubabalo. So yes, I think culturally, music is very much embedded in the community. It's used as a way of communicating. So you actually do have people who sing to convey a particular message. So you sometimes have daughters-in-law composing songs about their mothers-in-law, whether it's nasty or it's a good thing, or just like you said, to say something that's to get something off your chest. A lot of people do sing about those things, marital issues, relationship issues. So yes, music is really used as a medium of communication. And I think it's something that's very much in the South, across cultures in South Africa, and also not just in the isiXhosa culture as well. Yeah.
Thank you. Wonderful to hear from both of you, Emma and Nolubabalo, about context. Um, I'd like to move into the next section where we're learning from Ncumisa Waluwalu and Lele Sigwebela about the history of Chime at One to One and how it all came about. So Ncumisa is a highly skilled research assistant and worked on the CHIME development and research phase, supporting interviews and the co-design workshop that you'll hear about. She lives in Zitulele, which is in the deep rural Eastern Cape, close to the community where One-to-One works. Lele Sigwebela, also known as Lele, is a researcher currently at the Institute for Life Course Health Research at the University of Stellenbosch. And she worked with the Perinatal Mental Health Project, where I'm from, on the CHIME Mankosi project. Her research areas of interest are currently around maternal mental health and adolescent mental health. So, Lele, over to you to run this next section, sharing with us the history of CHIME at One-to-One and how it all started.
Thanks, Simone. Can everyone see my slides?
Looking good.
Awesome. So, as Simone said, and as Nolubabalo shared, that there is a history of music making within One-to-One, with between the mental mothers. I would categorize it more as a kind of learning and information sharing about the activities that they do. But I think it sets a really good foundation to have One-to-One be our main collaborators and co-designers for CHIME Mankosi and looking at CHIME in South Africa. So we approached it using a community-based participatory action approach, which is a useful method for building community networks during formative investigation. And we use the information from our key informants to guide us into this. It's like a separate section, but it's connected to the investigation to guide us in this workshop. And for the workshop, we used a different approach, which is experience-based co-design, which is an adaptable multi-approach method that is often used in healthcare services, that focuses on participatory action and co-design. And it has a process of about 6 stages that are kind of iterative and interchangeable about how to design. But it's basically user-centered, user-driven. And its main principle is that the process of development is led mostly by people with the lived experience. So the users are considered experts instead of from a research led perspective. So Sis-Noom and I being the people coming and saying, this is what we want to do. And so then at the actual workshop, we used Stanford design thinking, which is these 5 stages that are iterative and interchangeable to design and to co-develop the music. So first we had a discussion with the 7 mental mothers about the experiences of pregnant women and mothers in the community, as well as their experiences as mental mothers and being service providers to these pregnant women and mothers. And then we agreed on the themes of the song for the music. And we wrote that down, and the themes that we had come up with were produced and guided by the mental mothers. And so they share a lot of properties with what Nolubabalo was sharing about mothers and relationships and some of the hardships that women in the area go through. And so we agreed on the important ones, and then we developed music based on these themes. So we spent a day empathizing and defining and a little bit of ideating. And then the following 2 days, we just moved between define, ideate, and prototype until we got to a final version. So throughout the process, when we were kind of defining and refining our themes for the music, the mental mothers shared that they also needed to understand some of the concepts around mental well-being and around mental health and the symptoms of common mental disorders. And so sometimes what would happen would be maybe they, on their way home, they prototype a song that feels familiar to them, that feels like there's a message in there, or that has already is quite popular in the community because it was a lot of found music that was already happening. And then they would come back and share it with us, and then we'd have to go back to defining and ideating, because we needed to find an agreement around what is the content that we're bringing forward. And then in the end, we basically designed the songs had 3 categories for the type of user or the receiver. So it was like mothers and babies, mostly lullabies, contextual music. And then there was a psychoeducation sort of element, talking about the symptoms and signs of common mental disorders. And then there was a community education category, which is more about knowledge sharing. Sis Nul, maybe you want to share about the type of styles of music that was put together in this album of 14 tracks.
Yes, we had like very different, many types of songs. We would have like Amaguijo type of song, like and other like that were taken from choral music, and there's another song that also had what you call it, poetry in it. Like there's music for everybody. Like it doesn't matter if you are a gogo who stays at home, or you are a woman who goes to church, or you are a young person. There's always a song for everyone.
Yeah, totally. So we thought we could share just snippets of 2 songs that kind of capture some of the process that we went through, and kind of share with you what we learned and reflect with you all about the process. And so this first snippet we're going to hear is an education, kind of the psychoeducation version of the music that we adapted. Some of you might be familiar with the melodies, and yeah, just paying attention to the lyrics. You have to apologize for the, I have to apologize for the quality of the videos. We were focused on getting good audio for the songs and not necessarily getting good video. And we just kind of recorded mainly during the rehearsal while we were drafting different songs. So the quality is not the best of the videos. But in this slide in front of you, we have a English translation of the lyrics of the song Impauze, Depression. So I just wanted to share with all of you just kind of our thinking going into this, particularly around how the psychoeducation songs were composed and the process that we went through. So what was important in our preparation for this workshop and the facilitation of this workshop is that we focused, Sis Noom and I focused with the advice of our great collaborators and co-investigators, especially Bonnie McConnell, is that we focused on creating an environment where people felt like they could make music in the style that they were most comfortable in, and let it be open, so that even if we come back, we kind of reflect on what we like about the style of music that was presented, how we can adapt some of the content into that style of music. And I think that approach of really focusing on emphasizing that these 7 mentor mothers were here as music makers, as creatives, added to the variety of the album, and kind of guided us into being able to be open and collaborate with us. And the mentor mothers also shared that us giving them the space to lead the process and respecting them as experts on music, it really made a difference to their experience because they felt respected as knowledge generators, as representatives of their community and of their culture. And because of this approach where we were really centering them as the leaders of the process, when it came to the psychoeducation music, of which we went through a lot of the ideates, define, prototype process back and forth we realized that the kind of conflict we were having around the content of these psychoeducation songs came from an understanding that for their community and in their context and for them as mentor mothers, there's a need to center the music and the content around understanding the symptoms and the signs of common mental disorders rather than focusing only on the uplifting part of the message about mental well-being. And so this and a few other songs on the album are as a result of that process of constantly talking with one another and agreeing on and defining what it is that we're trying to do, what's the intention of the music. And now Sister Noma is going to take you through this next snippet, which is Lullaby.
This song, Usisi Matu Matu, it's a song that was used by different generations from grandmothers singing it for their grandchildren and for their own children as well. This song can be sung in different ways. For an example, I think you've heard towards the end the acoustic, but in the recording there are drums and whistles. Yeah, like everybody can relate to this song in different ways. It depends on the mood or its effects. Yeah. So this is one of my favorite songs from this album. Yeah, because you can sing this song to soothe a baby to sleep, or you can sing it while you are doing some house chores at the home. It's a beautiful song. Yeah, but you can't sing it for a baby using the whistles and the drums. And one of the mentor mothers on the second focus group mentioned that she left alone, but the mentor mother was patient and the babe was crying there on the bed. The mom was not caring about that crying baby, and the mentor mother went to pick up the baby and was feeling matu matu, and the baby stopped crying. And when the mom noticed that, she started also being warm towards the mentor mother and towards the baby as well. And before the mentor mother left, after she finished the visit, the mom was asking, "Can you please sing me another song or that song?" Yeah, this is a beautiful song and it has a beautiful message in it, and it's educational as well, because mental mothers, they go there to educate these moms about breastfeeding and other things. So this song, any new mom can relate to the song. Yeah.
Agreed. It's also my favorite. The one with the percussion, not the acoustic. Yeah, and so a year later, after the workshop, which was only 3 days, I just want to say it was quite an intense 3 days, we had this follow-up community event. And it was kind of a part of it was a part of the method because the sixth and final stage of experience-based co-design is to have a community event where, the users, the intended users, the designers, and the researchers come together and share the final product or the final intervention, whatever it may be, and kind of share it with the community and encourage its uptake and integration into the community. And this community event was exactly that. It was amazing to see what we wrote actually come to life, because we were able to come back and spend some time again and revisit the research beyond just the event, but about what's happened with the music. And I think having that room to breathe, to let everything ferment, to let those 3 days sit, to start disseminating the music, allowed everything to some of the challenges that we had not anticipated or weren't able to discuss, they kind of came to the foreground throughout that year. And we did a follow-up focus group discussion with one-to-one management, as well as with the 7 mental mother music makers. And we were able to, again, share information with one another, talk through strategies together in order to move the intervention forward, or to move the music and its use forward. And I think that was really important. We also centered, as much as us and one-to-one worked together to kind of get the logistics of the event happening, we centered the content and the agenda. We left it for last so that the mental mothers, the music makers, as well as all the one-to-one mental mothers could lead that process, because the event is about the users taking ownership of what they created and sharing it in their own words with their community. And I think that was the best part about the event, is that it was designed by them, it was led by them, and I think it had a great effect in kind of bridging all these different groups together, from one-to-one, from PMHP with the community. The chief of the village was also there, and to really bring it all together. And so I'm really excited to talk with Emma and Nolubabalo about what's happened since, because from that event, I felt very hopeful about what the CHIME project and what the CHIME process could do for the communities that the mental mothers serve.
Thank you so much, Lele. We're running a little bit late, so if we could just jump straight into showing, do you just want to introduce us to the testimonies of the mental mothers themselves very quickly, and then we can show those
so this first testimony you're going to see is from Funeka Menze, who was one of the 7 music makers. She's a composer and a poet and a writer, about the process of CHIME before and the workshop and the follow-up and everything leading into it. Thank you.
UCHIME wafika singazinto ngomculo, ngaphandle kwalo sasiqhele ucula esikolweni. Mna ndandikhule ndithanda umculo ke we-choral music. So wathi xa efika uCHIME savuya, kodwa kwangexesha linye sadideka. Into eyayididisa ke ngoku ukuba funeka le ngoma uyizame ngokwakho, kanti besiqhele ukufika sithathe ipractice ingoma eseyikhona siyenze ngokunana. Yathanda ukuba nobunzima ke le uzawuyiqala ngokwakho, phinde kuthiwe ucula ngento ethile awuculi ngenye into. Umzekelo kuthiwa uba ifuneka ibandakanye i-depression, i-GBV ne-HIV yayiluhlobo endaye ndaziva ngalo emveni koba siye sacula ezi ngoma zikaCHIME phaya kwi-workshop. Ndaye ndaziva ngolunye uhlobo. Umzekelo, kukho izinto ebomini okhula ungakwazi ukuzixolela, kodwa ngokufika kukaCHIME ndibe nezaa ngoma ndaye ndakwazi ukohlukana nazo ezo zinto ndandisithi soze ndimxolele. Into yayinzima kuCHIME yayikukuba sasisiza nayo ingoma siyizame siyiprekthize, sizoza ne-lyrics siyiprekthize. Athi umntu wakwaCHIME ngosesiyigqibile athi hayi, vele ke ngokulahleka kwanto engqondweni ndidikiwe ke kade ndiyazixelela uba mna ndikunomakhaya for that matter, ndidibenanga nanto yamculo. Kodwa siphinde sizicenge size nayo ngoba siyivile ubuncwane bayo uba yinto engasisa endaweni. Kokwakufumana amava ngoba ezi ngoma zikaCHIME njengoba ndiqale ndifundisa ngazo ii-clients, ndaqale ndazijika ndazijongisa. Kukho ingoma phaya endiyithanda kakhulu ezinye, ithi thetha ingxaki ekutyayo, yilwa nawo uvandedwa, ulwe nalo xinzelelo. So ke ngoku ndathi ndisocula laa ngoma ndiziculela mna, ndakwazi ukuventa kwinto eyayindihlupha ndingayibaliseli mntu. Ndafumana ke ngoku ingcebiso kulo mntu ndimbalisela singazani siqala ubonana, kodwa ndathi ndisombalisela ndaphila emoyeni wam.
Thank you so much. As you can see, some of what Mamfuneka shared was kind of what we touched on from our perspective of the process. And it's cool and relieving to see that we felt the same way about some of the same things that happened in the workshop. I think that what's really awesome to hear as well is that the music worked first through them and then was integrated into their practice as a mentor mother, which is really cool. So I wanted to talk with you, Emma, and you, Nolubabalo, about the CHIME project and the CHIME process and the music and how it's been working at one-to-one since the community event.
Andimva ke ngoku.
Abantu bathi CHIME isebenze njani one-to-one?
So how is CHIME working now at one-to-one?
Thanks, Lele.
Ah.
So just a background. So yes, you've already given the background that initially we had 7 mentor mothers that participated in the CHIME workshop, and they were equipped with musical and psychosocial facilitation skills. So the next step for us was then cascading this knowledge. So the 7 mentor mothers shared this knowledge and the skill and the songs with the full cohort of our 30 mentor mothers. And the 30 mentor mothers then started also engaging with the songs themselves and also started coming up with new songs for themselves as well. And what we saw now is that the use of these songs and of music became embedded in our program, particularly the maternal and child health program in our daily practices. The songs were particularly used during the home visits when mentor mothers go into the homes as a form of counseling and health education on various topics such as depression and breastfeeding, treatment adherence. So they started also, in addition to the songs that were there, that the 7 mentor mothers created, our mentor mothers started coming up with additional songs themselves that they needed for their day-to-day work. So, for example, a mentor mother would typically begin her home visit with a short song or a chant when she goes into the home or when she enters the household, which would help to put the clients at ease. It would also help to build trust, especially if it's a new client. And then it also creates that environment, a warm, non-threatening environment because often, when it's health service provision, people tend to be tense initially. So music helped to also just break the ice. So that's how we've been using the music and the songs.
Mm.
And then something else, the mentor mothers themselves also, they came up and they initiated and facilitated community groups as well to engage other women of different age groups. So you have the older women, the grandmothers, then you have the reproductive age groups, the mothers who have the children, who have young children. Then you also have the adolescents as well. So they started engaging all of these community groups and using music. So essentially, they were using music as an entry point to discuss psychosocial well-being, self-care, and maternal and child health, as well as any other health-related issues. So it was just it's a tool that we've started using to bring communities together and educate them and empower them on various health-related issues. And as a result of that work, we actually received the Old Mutual Mental Health Award in 2022. Yes.
Congratulations. It's amazing to see how in the last day of the workshop, we did discuss like a potential intervention that the mentor mothers would want to design using the music. And that's exactly what has manifested. They wanted support groups where they could talk and educate one another about some of the challenges they experience in their context. And it's really great to see. Something else that they had mentioned in the like the potential design of an intervention was to have other activities in the intervention, in the support groups, apart from singing. Is any of that happening currently?
In terms of interventions and support, yes. So yes, they do have the support groups. So what we're also seeing is, for example, we have embedded the music also in support groups, such as the treatment adherence support groups that Funeka leads and spearheads. Funeka, who was just the video we just saw there. So they have been doing those community groups, and there's more. I think that Nolubabalo will speak on a bit later in the pipeline. That that's in the pipeline too. Yeah.
Thank you, Emma. I think we can
Hello.
pause for the sake of sorry, Nolubabalo, you can continue.
Oh, to add to Emma, now it's a breastfeeding week. Mental mothers are busy with singing about the song of breastfeeding. And also there we have support groups. We are singing about breastfeeding week in this August 1 to 7. So now we are busy singing, and it's work a lot for our clients because the song it's healing. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Nolubabalo. Just for the sake of time, I think we can pause this discussion here, and we'll wait to see on the socials and other dissemination platforms what else you're up to. Where, if we have time, we have another testimony video from the mentor mothers, and this mentor mother, she was not a part of the 7 music making workshop mentor mothers, so it's would be really great for us to hear from her about how CHIME has worked.
UCHIME ufike kwakhe uqale wakhansela kuqala. Ndithe ndisiya efieldini okay, amava wam besikade sisefieldini se-equipment ufumanisa uba
iklayenti ithatha ixesha mhlawumbi ukuva, kodwa kuthe kusofika uChime sifike sibaculele ezaa ngoma kwalula kakhulu. Okay, amava wam endifuna ukwazi ukunceda umntu, ndifike ndiqwabulule izinto ebezingaqabululeki, okanye nalaa nto uba umntu afika ukuxelela iingxaki zakhe ukwazi ukumcebisa. Ukhona umahluko uba uChime uye wafika wongezelela olunye ulwazi olukhulu, kuba ngeli xesha uChime ebengekafiki bendingenalwazi into yoba nengoma le inayo into eyenzayo emntwini. Ukuba umzekelo ndifike xa ndithetha ngegadi ndingafike ndivume ingoma ethi masilimele abantwana bangabi nekhwatshi, iklayenti iyilangazelele laa nto yokuba okay, ukulima kuthe kanti kubalulekile, ukuncancisa kuthe kanti kubalulekile. Ngengoma le ndifike phaa efildini siyicule sobabini, ndimculela ndilandele. Asogqibayo ungaqhubelekela nto ayenza, akhuthale ukuncancisa, akhuthale ukulima egadini, yonke laa nto. Yibi ke yakhona ukuqala kwethu usebenza ngoChime. Umzekelo uthi xa ufika ucula ezi ngoma ufike ikujongile iklayenti ubone uba iyakuthandabuza, kodwa as ixesha lihamba baya bengena egiyeni beyonwabela. Mhlawumbi uthi lofika eklayenti uba hayi namhlanje ngathi imudi, mhlawumbi ukho loo nto ibinengxaki nayo, ufike ucula ingoma ingene ide uxelele ngoba ye ufike ndingekho rayithi namhlanje ngenxa yengxaki ethile nethile. Zinintsi kuba abanye abantu sifike besithi hayi Lele ndandikwazi ukuncancisa umntana kwaze bathini, kodwa xa ufika umvumela ingoma ancancisa umntwana njalo njalo. Depression, ucula iingoma ze-depression. Kwalula nje andikwazi ubala. Kwalula. Yeah, phofu ingoma depression, yabo. Iklayenti ingene egiyeni ityibilike ikuxelele iingxaki zayo njalo njalo, umcebise ukuba okay, xa unengxaki enje uzawuthi udlule kwesi step uye kwesi step njalo.
Emma, thank you, Lele. Thank you, Ella and Emma and Nolubabalo. Emma, did you want to just? I think you wanted to just finish with a comment on the impact that you've noticed, you and your team members today.
Yes, thanks, Simone. So, in addition to how we've used Chime for educating and as a tool to empower our communities and our clients, there's something very strong and profound we've seen. There's been a transformative impact. And not just for our clients. I think you heard from just the previous video where they've talked about how they healed. It helped them to heal themselves. So Chime essentially served as a very powerful tool for personal healing, as many of the mentor mothers were navigating significant challenges. And this was also just post-COVID as well. They were experiencing issues such as grief, trauma, emotional stress, because it is quite, they're frontline healthcare workers, so they do carry a lot. So the Chime approach and the sessions, the workshop for the 7 mentor mothers, and then the cascading workshops for the 30 mentor mothers, it did offer this creative and supportive outlet for them. So it was really transformative for us, for our team at One Africa. So that's just something very interesting to note there. Yeah. Thanks, Simone.
Fabulous. Thank you. Thank you all. We have a few minutes left for some of these these really good questions in the chat. Norma has asked Emma, what about people who can't sing? What about people who don't have the talents to sing? What happens there?
I was actually in the process of typing a response to Noma. I did see your response. So firstly, yes, Noma, a mentor mother is a Noma Kaya, yes, they're essentially a community health worker. And it's not a prerequisite to be able to sing. You don't have to be an idol. It's just really, and we've seen this culturally. I think in South Africa, a lot of women, people are gifted with music. So it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just really expressing yourself in any way. And also, they don't necessarily have to sing. If they feel they're not comfortable, they can encourage their clients. So when you go into the home, when you're counseling a pregnant woman, for example, you can say, whenever you feel sad, whenever you feel emotional about something, sing about it. Use music as an outlet. If you feel you don't have anybody to talk to about a certain issue, as you do your day-to-day chores, sing and don't bottle up issues. So that's the concept that they're also passing that message as well. Yeah.
Is there anybody who would like to unmute and ask a question verbally or at this stage? There's some other fabulous questions in the chat as well.
You can raise a hand if you want to ask a question.
While we're waiting, there was a question on the selection of the initial 7. Nolubabalo, can you speak a little bit about how the initial 7 mentor mothers were selected for the co-design workshop? I'm not too sure if you were part of it at that stage. Well, Lele, perhaps you can respond to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did put it in the
Ah,
comments as well, but go ahead, Nolubabalo.
how is supposed to look it?
Okay, I'll just continue. Sorry about that. So already, as we said earlier, Simone shared earlier, there was an existing connection and an existing musical health foundation with One and the mental mothers. And when we reached out to them to say we could only have 7 mental mothers at the workshop, the mental mothers themselves nominated out of their whole group the 7 mentor mothers that would music making mentor mothers that would be at the workshop. So it was an internal process led by the mentor mothers as a whole to bring in representatives to the co-design workshop.
Kelly, I think you had a hand up earlier. Did I see Kelly's hand up? No?
You might have had to have left. So I've just left a
Okay.
message. Yes, she's not there anymore. So
She asked a question in the chat actually about in terms of research, is there an opportunity, potentially a sub-study, to find out more about the effects of music making on the mentor mothers themselves? And we weren't able to do that in this project, but in the CHIME work that we're going to be doing in the next couple of years, working in a peri-urban setting outside of Cape Town, we will hopefully be assessing the impact of this process on the outcomes for community health workers themselves. I think I think what we're really interested with CHIME and Bonnie, who's our ethnomusicologist and expert who was part of the group, the initial work in the Gambia, can comment. And it relates to your comment, Norma, is that it's not about perfection and a perfect musical performance. This whole intervention is about connection and participation, and it's less about a final product and a musical standard, and more about a means of fostering human connection and well-being. Bonnie, I'm not sure if you'd like to comment on that.
Oh, I think you've expressed it very well, Simone. Thank you.
Okay. Emma, are there any last comments before we close? Or any other questions that you'd like to respond to from the chat?
I think I've tried to respond to most of the questions.
Yes.
I don't know if Nolubabalo would love to give in terms of what next. Maybe Nolubabalo, if your network is working, you can just give a brief statement in terms of what our next steps are and where we're going next.
Hello. Our next step, we need to implement 2 other programs, EPL, YC, Baby Ubuntu, and also the male engagement, because this music is very helpful to us. So we need those programs be involved too, not only mental mothers.
Thank you very much, Emma.
I was just going to say EPL is our childhood development program, just for those who don't know. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. It's now the end of the hour. I'd like to thank Emma and One-to-One Africa for co-hosting with the Perinatal Mental Health Project and CHIME this fabulous webinar. Estelle, if you could just share the slide. There's so many people to acknowledge who were part of this webinar today and setting it up. The CHIME, the very many people behind the scenes, part of CHIME, One-to-One Africa team, the media people, the donors, particularly the mentor mothers themselves, those involved in the original design group, and the broader team, as well as the leadership at One-to-One Africa. We're grateful for this partnership. Our partners in maternal mental health globally, the African and Global Alliances for Maternal Mental Health, the International Marseille Society, and the 4th conference on maternal mental health in Africa, which is going to be hybrid, but in Zimbabwe in December, and particularly to our presenters for your time and thinking and making this a really wonderful webinar. Thank you to our audience for your comments and suggestions and engagement. I'm sorry we didn't have more time and hope to stay in touch. Emma, is there any last thing you'd like to say?
Just to say thank you very much to everybody. Thank you.